Before we start today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to Zencaster, which is a podcaster's best friend. Trust me when I tell you this, Zencaster is like the Shopify for podcasters. It's all you need to get up and running as a podcaster. And the best thing about Zencaster is that you get so much stuff for free. If you are planning to check out the platform, then please show your support for the Founder Thesis podcast by using this link, zen.ai/founder thesis. That's zen.ai/founder thesis.
Hi guys, this is Avnish here. I'm one of the co-founders and head of research and policy at Bombay Hemp Company.
एक मिनट रुक जाओ, रेडी होने दो. चलो ये कर लेते हैं. This could be a great intro.
Some of the most interesting entrepreneurs are not people who have built billion-dollar companies, but rather people who have taken unconventional decisions and had the courage to go the long haul, no matter how tough the path is. And there is probably no line of business that is as challenging as the one dealing in hemp products. Hemp, which is also known as cannabis, is a controversial ingredient to base your business on. There are so many stereotypes about it that most people would not recognize the opportunity to build a legal business in this space. And this is really what sets apart a group of 7 college friends turned co-founders who are running the Bombay Hemp Company. Listen on to this masterclass on all things hemp, in which Avnish Pandya, who is one of the founders of the Bombay Hemp Company, talks to Akshay Dutt about their journey of building up India's leading hemp products company.
So when we were in college, we were actually part of a community called Students in Free Enterprise, which is known as Enactus now. So we were working on solar rural electrification projects, and that was our real exposure to Bharat. From in India that we came from, the microcosm of India that we came from at that point of time really opened our eyes. When we were actually doing a project in Almora district, that's where we were seeing a lot of the common folks actually use cannabis for things which are unknown to most people. Stuff like making their juttis or their footwear out of cannabis, tying their cattle out of it, and at the same time, the women using the seed oil in a certain way. So that was our exposure. The indigenous use is where we got exposed to it.
This is like you and Yash and like you guys were college mates.
Me, Yash, Jaman, the whole gang in college, right? So, of course, we knew that this plant is interesting because of whatever experiences we have had in these areas with it. And especially while talking to people, we realized what a non-issue it was and how it was used for subsistence as well as for their local application at that point of time. The funny part is we were coming back to Bombay via flight from Delhi. And at Delhi, we saw a bunch of hemp products at the Body Shop. So the Body Shop is one of the biggest retailers of cosmetic products, and it so happened that their India store actually had a hemp product. And it's difficult to miss it because that whole leaf is literally on the packaging. And that was like an aha moment for us. And we were like, there is these bunch of so-called villagers who have this indigenous knowledge. And there is this mega corporation that is kind of, packaged it fancy in a fancy way and has presented it to us. The opportunity we saw that was unique to us is that we are bang in the middle of these two worlds. We are not from the UK or America, but neither are we from the hills in Uttarakhand. We are bang in the middle from a model city in India, which is not too far from India, not too far from the West. And there was an inspirational moment that also at that point of time, a lot was happening with haldi. Haldi had suddenly become turmeric latte, and the 5 rupee haldi ka doodh had become a $10 turmeric latte. Now, coming from a commerce background and with my father being in advertising, the one thing I really understood was the power of perception, how things are perceived and what it can do to people. So it was more of a perception battle that Bombay Hemp Company originated with as a hypothesis. It was not a business. We never thought we were going to make it this far, frankly. We never had dreams of building unicorns or $100 billion startups. we had a simple question. We have this amazing plant. We know what it can do, and we know 1,000 other people know what it can do. But why is there no conversation around it? Why is there whatever little information is there about, drug raids and stuff like that? So there is a narrative issue with this. But of course, we were in college, all this sounds great in college. Then came, your final year. All of us ended up getting some of the other job to get some real life experience.
This trip to Uttarakhand was when? Second year?
In 2010. Yeah, second year of senior college, as we call it. When we were in grade 14. That was when it happened.
Okay. That's like first year of the DU system. It will be like first year.
First year of DU system. Yeah. So then we understood that, that there is a real world. We understand some aspects of it because we have the privilege of it, but the real world is a different animal. So also we were good at knowing what we did not know, frankly, at that time. So we said, okay, let's go out, get a real job. Few of us were in Deloitte, a few of them were in Group M doing marketing gigs, consulting gigs. But 10 months into my job, I knew that this is what's happening.
Where did you join?
I was at Deloitte in the US India office in Hyderabad and then in Bombay.
Like an analyst kind of a role, like number crunching.
Like a consultant analyst. Yeah. Straight get into Excel sheets, review processes, and then have a good boss, a bad boss, and manage the rat. At least I was lucky because I got to work in Hyderabad. I'd never lived out of Bombay. This was like, somebody paying for a party, literally. That's how I perceived it, that, somebody's going to pay me actually to have a good time in another city. So I kind of fooled myself into it at that point of time, did that for 10 months. Within then I realized this is not what I want to do. I quit my job and then I got in touch with these guys, all of them, saying that...
How big was your gang? How many folks?
This is the 5 other guys that I'm talking about. Yash, Chirag, Sumit, Delzad, and Jahan. I got in touch with them and I told them, see guys, I am not having a great time at my job. And this is probably the only time in our life where we can take up something and fail miserably. So, why not just give it a shot? Again, there was no big promises of business plans and returns and economics, etc., though we are commerce students. But we knew this, the question and the answers we're getting into are beyond commerce. They're about society. They're about larger things. Quit my job. I worked in a couple of startups in the middle of walking to startup, understood what it takes to actually, build something ground up. And then something...
How long did you do that?
6 months.
The startups?
6 months. 6 months. I was getting paid. In fact, I was doing walking tours in Bombay with very, very rich people. I made more money through tips than I made through salary when I was at Deloitte. So then I understood the value of money and how it changes hands and what people pay for, basically. And then I thought, okay, this is a great time to kind of jump into this whole cannabis conversation. Now, we were not jumping into it blind because, of course, we're relatively educated, not fancy MBAs or IITs, but we knew about how certain part of the world worked. So the first thing was...
And you had a family background of entrepreneurship also.
Correct. So first thing is to see as anybody or any big business today that needs to start in India is look at what our Western counterparts are doing. Because they are literally a decade ahead of us in most of the things that we would talk about. And maybe we are centuries ahead of them in certain other aspects. But as far as the real cosm of the world is concerned, they're 10 years ahead. So look at what the US is doing. Look at what Canada is doing. Figure out where the tailwinds are with this thing. And we realized 2013 with what happened in California, Colorado, then the New York bill and a whole bunch of other things.
Legalization of medical marijuana.
Exactly. So what started with in Canada, then in Uruguay, then in Europe. So we then understood, and that was also the point of time when the governments were changing. We had a new government coming in, new way of looking at things, etc. So Our job was always to stitch the larger narrative. We were not trying to build a company at that time. So the larger narrative, first thing what we did is we wrote to the director of narcotic control, who is the topmost revenue officer in this country, who has a say on the NDPS Act.
What
Unfortunately,
is NDPS?
the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, under which cannabis is governed.
Why is this director of narcotics part of the revenue service?
Because we are part of the archaic British system where the British actually considered all the intoxicants and narcotics as a source of revenue. They used to tax all these things heavily. All your magua, your bhang, your ganja, charas, afim, everything was taxed. They used to make a shit ton of money, which paid for their war eventually. So since then, it has continued. It's part of the DOR under the Ministry of Finance. We straight up wrote to him. Well, we spoke to a few lawyers. The lawyer said, "You're wasting your time. You're never going to get a reply." These guys.
What was your question?
The question to the lawyers was that we want to work in the cannabis field. We want to develop products that are made from the hemp fiber, hemp seeds. How can we do that? So the
Non-intoxicant
non-intoxicating
products made from
industrial and medical. Industrial and medical, that was the objective. The recreational part is not part of our conversation at all. Because frankly, recreational cannabis, even though it's illegal in India, we all know what the enforceability of tax status is as we speak. The government also accepts it. There's no hiding that fact. It is illegal. That's what the law says. But what is happening on ground? Completely two different things. Now, that was a practical learning.
Bhang is supposed to be legal.
Yes, correct. Because bhang is not ganja. What is illegal is ganja. Ganja is the flowering and fruiting tops of the cannabis plant, and bhang is the leaves of the cannabis plant. So, if you want to look at it in alcohol comparison, bhang would be like a 4-5% alcohol beer, and ganja would be like 30-40% whiskey or vodka, and the rest would be like 60-70% alcohol absinthe or a much more potent version of alcohol, that is. So we spoke to a bunch of, some name lawyers, etc. The thing is, nobody's ever picked up the NDPS Act and really read it as far as cannabis is concerned. It was this blanket perception that everything that's got to do with it is bad. Now, that's what curiosity does. Curiosity allows you to sit and read and kind of spend time there. So we were lucky. The first 2-3 letters we wrote, we got a call saying that the additional secretary of revenue wants to meet you, not the director of narcotic control only. That's what these were extremely forward-thinking officers for their time and day. Luckily, our government has positions in place for these people to go outside India and study and learn and have a grasp of another culture, allows them to think differently. And that was our aim. None of us had any political backing, or as we call it in generic terms, a jack. We didn't have any jacks. We just knew how to write letters, and we knew how to present ourselves and talk about.
Were they surprised to see like a bunch of 20-year-olds?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Surprised and happy. Because imagine if I'm a 45-year-old rich businessman going and talking about cannabis. You would look at me with such malign intent saying that this guy is here to just squeeze the system and try to make some money and sell drugs. But I'm 22 years old. I'm coming to you with this fresh idea. What possibly can I destroy? What can I do? What is in my power? So it was a non-threatening engagement for them, which allowed them to have a safe space to communicate. What most people in India do not realize is the sensitivity a government officer actually goes through when he's doing something at his level. He's accountable for way too many more things. It's very easy to be armchair critic sitting and dissing every step everybody in the system makes. I'm not trying to rationalize everything that the government does, but it's more nuanced than what it to be.
Yeah, it's not simple black and white.
Correct. And from there on, it started, and the journey kind of led us to.
So, what happened in that meeting? Like, did they tell you that, yeah, go ahead, you can make non-intoxicant products?
In fact, they asked us a question: why isn't this already happening? So again, that's when we realized that, no one has actually done anything about this. There was never a consolidated movement, a question, or a narrative, anything. There was zero. Now, the point was, at least we realized we are at zero. We are not at -10 with these guys, because -10 would be them being apprehensive even about these aspects. Then they said, okay, cultivation, manufacturing, and processing is a state subject. So states will figure out the regulatory processes. We cannot create that regulation for you. So today, if Avnish and Akshay want to grow hemp, the central government will not give us a license. We will have to go to the state government. That's when they introduce us to senior level officers in Uttarakhand. And that's when the Uttarakhand conversation started. Now, whilst all of this, Uttarakhand was the first state to create a policy for cultivation of hemp and cannabis, specifically for industrial use in 2016, 2017. That was because of the kind of groundwork that was put in place right from 2013-14 for that to start. Between 2014 and 2016, the central government helped us with getting a policy with Uttarakhand, with getting us research licenses in the back state, back in the day, J&K, in Uttar Pradesh. So that means in those 2-3 years, we started the first time in India, companies legally cultivating cannabis is studying what is Indian cannabis. Because we are in a position where we have an ocean of water, but not a drop of it which we can drink. So we had the best genetics, the best land races in the world, but none of it was actually studied. So we brought on some of the best scientific research institutes in India, like the National Botanical Research Institute, the Indian Institute of Integrative Medicine. That's where again our positioning angle was spot on. Saying that, भाई अगर गांजे के साथ काम करना है तो सरकारी इंस्टीट्यूट के साथ करें, क्योंकि उन पे कोई हाथ उठा के नहीं बोलेगा कि क्या चल रहा है यहाँ. It's the government themselves, right? So it wasn't a smooth ride. There were lots of kind of steps there, but when I look at it in retrospect, at least it was a step that they moved in that direction. And that is when we started realizing.
If you like to hear stories of founders, then we have tons of great stories from entrepreneurs who have built billion-dollar businesses. Just search for the Founder Thesis podcast on any audio streaming app like Spotify, Gaana, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the show.
So 2013, you had this meeting, and 2016 is when that law passed, which made it possible for you to commercially grow cannabis. So these 3 years, how are you paying the bills? You
Correct.
looped in these research agencies. Was it like, did you pitch it to them as a research opportunity, or was it like a paid engagement? Like how are you paying the expenses still for these 3-year period? What was happening from a business perspective? And I mean, there are like 5 salaries or 6 salaries to be paid, right? Like all 6 of you.
Correct. So for the first 3 years, there were no salaries. Nobody got paid a single rupee. The company started with a total capital of 12 lakhs, 2 lakhs by each co-founder, 2 lakhs.
Okay.
2 lakhs from each co-founder.
You had enough savings?
Yeah, I mean, we all had done some jobs before. So we had that money, though that was the only money we had, but that was good enough to kind of get started. And that took us to a certain level. After that, because we were cannabis, we started getting a lot of media. We started having reporters write about us. So from 2013 till now, we would have been then probably in more than 600, 700 articles, exclusives, and all of this being on media. So the media got a hold of it, saying that, damn, there's a cannabis company in this country. Is it even legal? There it started. So once the media narrative kind of picked up, we won a couple of grants. We won a couple of business competitions. That got us like 40, 50 lakhs of grant money. While we won one of these grants, Mr. Tata was actually present at one of these events. So my co-founder, Jahan, actually caught hold of him in a bathroom because we thought that's the only possible place we are going to have privacy. And I'm hoping he is open to not being so private. But we got hold of him there. We told him, we are working on this hemp thing. He said, oh, hemp. isn't that what the Britishers used to fight the Second World War in terms of building their navy? It built the sails and it built the rope. And we're like, this is a guy, like he knows this. He knows what hemp is, and it lit up his eyes in some way. So he said, I'll give you a meeting. I'm busy, but I will write to you. And he did write to us. He did give us that meeting. And now luckily or unluckily, luckily in our case, his business guy wasn't there. Now, usually, you know how it works, right? There is this big personality, and then there are these extremely sharp people.
Gatekeepers.
Exactly. So we didn't have any gatekeepers that day because the gatekeeper was busy gatekeeping something else. And we got a direct one-on-one with him. And that's when he said, see, I like what you think about this. I like your vision. I'm going to support you. I'm going to put my name behind.
What did you present as your vision to him? That you will build a D2C brand around hemp products? Was that the vision?
The vision to him was much larger. The vision to him was Bombay Hemp Company being what Indian Tobacco Company was, is what Bombay Hemp Company could be going into the future. Because we could be making cosmetic products, we could be making FMCG stuff, textile, lifestyle. We can do everything with this one. The Indian Tobacco Company started in the British era with a perspective of it being positioned from a tobacco thing, but then it went on to 1,000 other products and
FMCG.
know of today. And that's also part of the origins of our name. Who are we and what do we do? We are the Bombay Hemp Company. So you know where we're from and what we do in that case. So he really said that, this is a massive mountain to climb, but at least you are smart enough to know what it will take to scale it one kind of step at a time. And he was the first investor in the company. He put in some money, and he also gave us.
How much did he put in?
He invested close to 30 lakhs in the company, but he gave the company a grant through the Tata Trust of close to 3 crore rupees.
Wow. Okay. Like a research grant for you to research about cannabis.
Exactly. He put us in touch with the Tata Memorial Center, which is Asia's largest cancer research facility. Some of the top oncologists there.
Like for cannabis for pain relief.
Exactly. For palliative care, for chronic pain management and things like that. Then once we had Mr. Tata on board, we had a few other angel investors that kind of came together. Now, till then, we were only actually working with one part of the plant, which is the fiber. We were only developing fiber-based products, textile-based products, etc.
Was it like in the lab or were you like, had you commercialized those products?
Commercially selling. We were selling the cannabis. Our first sale of a cannabis product in India was 1st of August 2013. I still remember this. Because we still haven't encashed that 5,000 rupee check we got from then.
I thought you were busy trying to figure out how to grow the crop and getting those regulatory approvals for growing the crop.
Yeah, I had 5 co-founders also. So, we could work in two government at the same time. A few of us were focusing on this. A few of us. So there's like a team that is looking 2 years into the future and the team that is working today of where the world is at today, right? So we always had the luxury. Now, having these many co-founders...
Tell me about that thread, like the commercialization thread.
Correct.
Tell me about that.
So first thing we realized is that let's start working with the handloom weavers in Uttarakhand. Because we already knew these people make handloom cloth. We need to bring this handloom to cool designers in Bombay. They can do magic with this and we can create a big story. It was all about getting eyeballs, right, at that point of time. That, hemp can even do this, that, and we're trying to always educate the 1% because they would actually get it and not malign it completely. So a few designers picked up that cloth.
So these weavers in Uttarakhand were already using hemp. So you didn't need to worry about procuring the crop and all that.
Exactly.
You just had to buy the loom or whatever, that cloth basically.
Exactly. We were buying the handloom cloth for them. Though it was very unorganized, it wasn't a business level thing. Where supply chains are fixed and, everything.
It was like cottage industry.
Exactly. Subsistence.
In the house, there's somebody who's...
Correct.
Huh.
It's like if I make achar at home, how big will my HR business be, man? And will only be that. So, but then we started understanding that, oh, China is actually one of the bigger cultivators of hemp. And then we started understanding the Chinese have actually reached machine made hemp textiles. So we started importing Chinese hemp fabrics and started trading in those fabrics. Because while we were developing this, we always understood that all our effort is worthless if there's no market at the end of this. We all know that there needs to be a market. Even if I go and sell this idea to, let's say, the head of Dabur or the head of any major FMCG company in India, he's going to see who's buying this stuff, who's interested. So we knew that we had to kind of keep that ball rolling to some level while we were figuring this stuff out. And till then, there was no business with that.
These products were so essentially you were not yet doing a consumer product, but you were just procuring fabric and providing it to designers.
That's correct.
And designers were selling it as a hemp shirt or a whatever they made out of that fabric.
That's correct. That's correct. Then this was till 2015, 2016. Then in around 2016...
Like the fabric business.
Exactly. Then in around 2016, we launched our own clothing brand, our own lifestyle brand called B-Label. And that's when we started marketing these products direct to consumers. We were part of flea markets and we were part of these offline events. Basically, everywhere you would think about sustainability or fashion, we were present because we had some resources to kind of go out and present ourselves in a certain way. That's where.
How did you build this piece of launching a label? Na? It's easy to say we launched a label, but I'm sure there would have been a lot of hard work which would have gone around.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So we kind of internally we figured out that there is one guy who's only going to look at this commercial angle and make sure he's going to bring us that revenue. So he was interested.
Who was that?
Chirag. Yeah. So Chirag was interested with it and Chirag kind of took up the baton. He was given a budget. He could go out, hire a designer. He could develop the brand. The point was not to have every co-founder comment on that bit because specifically the point was to educate. Again, we were not running this to make 200 rupees gross margin on a 2000 rupee shirt. That was not the business we were getting into. Neither were we getting into the business of acquiring a consumer for 1200 rupees and him only buying 2 shirts from me. The point was, this was the only thing legally we could have out there. We were restricted by the opportunity from a regulatory perspective.
So this was like the Pixel phone of Google. Yeah. Like they don't do that Pixel phone for really the revenue out of it, but as a showcase. So this was something like that. Like your goal was to have this as a flagship or a showcase for people that this is what you can do from him.
Exactly. Now the biggest thing that came out of this is there's a ex-member of parliament by the name of Tathagat Satpathy. He figured out that there is a ganja company. He's from Odisha, so they just call it ganja. They don't have any pretense around it. He called it the ganja company.
Bombay ganja company.
I mean, if you actually literally translate it, that's what it would mean. So he actually bought a hemp kurta and he wore it to the parliament. And that day he tweeted, and today I am wearing cannabis in the parliament. Because he's from Odisha, and Odisha also has a major cannabis culture in terms of local use, etc. So that kind of made a big statement. And that's when we started getting, calls from certain types of people within the framework about asking us about, there is a member in my family who's very sick. I have heard about this CBD oil. I have heard about this hemp seed oil helping people with inflammation. So that created a pull that, there were some people who wanted it, needed it, knew about it, but there was no safe space or platform to actually ask for it or anything. And that's when the first conversation regarding a health and wellness aspect started. That's when we actually became a business. That, the biggest impact hemp is going to have on mankind is on mankind's health. The way, whether we're talking about stress, whether we're talking about sleep, whether we're talking about pain, or any kind of modern lifestyle disease that is going to come out, hemp is really going to help. And this wasn't only our conviction, but this is what we were seeing in terms of real business in the West as well, in the mature markets, as we know.
Like the medical marijuana industry.
Correct. Correct. You had a lot of naysayers at the start, but then there were like old uncles and aunties using cannabis for their arthritis and, for their sleep, etc. So the narrative had changed. That's when we dived deep into Ayurveda. That was the first time we had some very good advisors. We have some very good advisors who said, now you have to marry your history with your system of medicine. You have reached that stage. And that system of medicine is Ayurveda. It already talks about more than 250 types of medicine you can make from bhang, ganja, and charas. And luckily, again, 2016-17 is when India's Ayurvedic boom was on. We had Patanjali at its peak, and Dakkanti was outselling a lot of the other major competitor brands in a lot of markets, right? So the investor sentiment, the public sentiment, everything was kind of in that direction. So that's when we started working to get an Ayurvedic license to make some of these products available as medicine. It took us a year. Then in 2018, we launched a bunch of products from hemp seed oil, hemp seed protein. After that, we launched products with bhang.
Again, like I said, easy to say we launched these products, but what went behind it? Like, how did you figure out the formulation? How did you figure out the supply? How did you figure out the manufacturing of it and whatever licenses you need for it and all of that? Like tell me about those details, like those are the war stories that I'm interested in.
Yeah. No, great. So when we figured out that, Ayurveda already has a mention of bhang, that means that it should fall under some regulatory framework to manufacture. That's when we picked up another act called the Drugs and Cosmetics Act of India, which regulates the manufacture of all these different types of products. Cannabis bhang is under Schedule E1 of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So it is a sensitive schedule where afim is there, belladonna flower is there, and a whole bunch of other toxic substances with therapeutic potential as the act that are there. So then we had to figure out what the best formulations with this would be. That's when, again, luckily, because we had the Tata Memorial Network, etc., we got hold of two very senior Ayurvedic doctors who actually the first few formulations they did pro bono for us. They said, this is what you are doing is actually service to Ayurveda. So whatever I have learned in my past history, I will contribute. So that time, the bigger learning for me was that if you actually take up something challenging and you reach a certain level, people will come to help you. You help with arrive. It's just you have to just consistently be at it. So something people would pay lakhs of rupees to do, we could do it at zero cost at that point of time. Now, we have a formulation, but bhai banayenge kaam, hum to manufacturer nahi hai. So then we started looking at कि भाई where is bhang very famous? भांग कहाँ पे होती है, भांग कहाँ पे कंज्यूम होती है और कहाँ पे इसका कल्चरल एक एसेंस है. हमें पता था कि पहाड़ों में उगती है, लेकिन पहाड़ों में कोई भी चीज मैन्युफैक्चर करना बहुत बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. तो फिर हमने देखा कि उत्तर प्रदेश में भी भांग बिकती है, मध्य प्रदेश में भी भांग बिकती है, और तभी हमने मध्य प्रदेश को थोड़ा और डिटेल में स्टडी किया. So the member of parliament from Madhya Pradesh in 1983 was probably the only member of parliament who stood up and said, this ban that we are putting on cannabis is actually going to cost us big time. It is going to have repercussional effects where we will be moving towards Western forms of intoxication, because you are never able to eradicate intoxication. And plus we have a cultural, religious, etc. So because we realized that, the historical political thought process in the state has always been pro this. Also, it's a majority Hindu state. We started understanding the politics of cannabis. before which we were only understanding the policy of cannabis. And those are two different things. And politics usually traps policy in a country like India. They drive sentiment and they drive. So it's a rule based system, but we look at rules when we want to look at them.
Yeah.
Kind of it.
Right.
Right. So that's when we got hold of this manufacturer in MP. He was already manufacturing a bunch of Ayurvedic products. He already had a setup. We went to him and we said, there is an opportunity. He was a young guy who had started off early. He said, I will take this risk. And he said, आपकी कंपनी में रतन टाटा ने पैसे डाले ना, तो आप तो कुछ गलत नहीं करो.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that really, yeah. That is such a major stamp of approval, no?
Exactly.
The data investment.
see, rooms that never opened, they opened up. People that never offered time, offered time. So it is everything we needed. We never needed his sifarish. We just needed access. And I think that's what companies need. They want access. They want to be in the right rooms. They're not saying कि आप मेरा business बढ़ा दो. नहीं, business तो मुझे बढ़ाना है, काम मुझे करना है. But you provide me the right network to do that. So we got a loan license on that manufacturing facility, worked very closely with the Madhya Pradesh FDA on this product. And that's how we put the supply chain in place.
What about the sourcing of bhang? Like, how did you source the bhang?
Bhang, we went to the excise department. And the excise department actually every year has a quota system. So you have to apply for that quota and then you have to bid on that quota. So this is a legacy business. मतलब ये बाप दादा के जमाने से जिसके पास कोटा है उसी के पास कोटा है. बाबा रामदेव को आज तक वो कोटा नहीं मिला भांग का.
Okay, there's like the liquor license distribution.
Exactly.
That business is again legacy.
And it was rigged a long time ago. I'm not saying the current establishment has rigged it. It's rigged a long time ago. So that we realized that we'll have to make friends with one of these bhang sellers, pay them a premium and buy the bhang. Because I am not going to get it.
ये भांग कहाँ यूज होती है अभी? Like you're saying there is a
दुकानों में बिकती है. जैसे कि दिल्ली की एक्साइज पॉलिसी है. दिल्ली की एक्साइज पॉलिसी बोलती है कि इस लाइसेंस होल्डर को मैं रिटेल में दारू बेचने दूंगा, इस लाइसेंस होल्डर को मैं होलसेल में करने दूंगा. तो एक्साइज का लाइसेंस होता है, तभी आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर पाते हो. सेम चीज भांग में. भांग इज इंटॉक्सिकेंट जस्ट लाइक अल्कोहल इज आल्सो इंटॉक्सिकेंट. अभी आज मुझे दिल्ली में चमचो मैंने सैनिटाइजर की फैक्ट्री डाल दी and I'm manufacturing sanitizer. Now to bring that isopropyl alcohol into Delhi, I will have to pay excise duty. I will require an excise license. The same thing. But see, the policies were always there. It's just that nobody wanted to.
But bhang is legal only in some states or all states? Like this is a state jurisdiction?
Correct. Bhang as an intoxicant is only legal in some states. But bhang as a medicinal product is legal in all 28, 29, how many other states now we are at, and union territories of India. All of them. So what we are selling is a manufactured, licensed product. We are not selling you bhang. And it is not that product only contains bhang. It contains other Ayurvedic herbs and it's a mix and match of those things. Now, as far as you are consuming that product, you require prescription. So that's not a OTC product, that's a prescription product. But if you're using the product for external applications, you do not require any prescription. You can buy the product OTC.
Like MP में जो भांग बिकती है, you need a prescription for that? या वो as an intoxicant बिकती है?
As an intoxicant बिकती है. आप दुकान पे जाओ, आप अपना 200 रुपया दो. आपको चाहिए वो भांग लस्सी बना के देगा या फिर गोली के देगा भांग की, वो गोली खा लो. See, mostly people don't smoke bhang. They consume bhang because bhang is such little THC that smoking it is going to give you a headache. It's not going to do anything, right? So people, rather than smoking it, they consume it. And in fact, consuming cannabis is way healthier because you're not going through any process of incarceration or smoking or anything.
So these quota holders, they also have the right to grow it, or
No.
they can buy it from farmers?
No. They can only buy it from the excise department.
Who grows it? मतलब वो farming license कैसे मिलता है उसको?
Nobody grows it. This is all the wild and feral bhang that is present in Uttar Pradesh, in Punjab, तो हर स्टेट में एक्साइज में कलेक्शन डिपार्टमेंट होता है जो ये भांग को कलेक्ट करवाता है. अफकोर्स सरकार खुद नहीं करती, उसका भी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर होता है. वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर वो भांग कलेक्ट करेगा. नो, दिस इज द लीगल चैनल. कॉन्ट्रैक्टर विल कलेक्ट ऑल द भांग, वो स्टेट के एक्साइज वेयर हाउस में इसको भेजेगा, फिर स्टेट उसको बॉन्ड करेगा वो वेयर हाउस को, और वो दूसरे स्टेट के एक्साइज में भेजेगा कि चलो पंजाब में कलेक्ट हो गया. लेकिन पंजाब में भांग बिकती नहीं है. भांग बिकती तो यूपी में और एमपी में, तो वो सारी भांग यूपी एमपी चली जाएगी. Punjab excise will make money on it. Hence, it's a revenue operation even for the state. They make money of these things.
Okay. So you tied up with one of these quota holders in MP
Correct.
to source bhang.
Yes. And then as I started manufacturing product, etc., I realized that I cannot be in this paradigm where somebody else controls me in terms of supply. Whether it's the government, whether it's the quota holder, whoever that might be. So we started working with different states to say कि सर हम हेम्प तो उगा रहे हैं, हेम्प का रिसर्च भी कर रहे हैं, हमने ये मेडिसिन भी बना दी है, कैंसर के पेशेंट इसको यूज भी कर रहे हैं, अभी हमें भांग उगाने दो ना, अभी भांग क्यों नहीं उगा सकते? दवाई भी बना रहे हैं, हर चीज कर रहे हैं. आज मेरी दवाई 4,000 रुपए में बिक रही है कैंसर पेशेंट को. कल मैं अगर इसको मैं खुद मैन्युफैक्चर करूँ, इसको ग्रो करूँ, तो मैं 2,000 रुपए में बेच पाऊंगा. तो मतलब बेनिफिट तो सभी का है. So that's when states like Himachal got interested and they got into the game. And Himachal is like the elder brother to all the hill states in India, because it's relatively rich, it's relatively has a lot more infrastructure, manufacturing, etc. So Jairam Thakur took it up, saying that I want to do
Who is Jairam?
the chief minister.
Okay. Sorry, my
No.
case poor.
No problem. He took it up as the chief minister, and also what was happening at that point of time, I think we should spend a little bit on what the courts were doing whilst all of this was happening. So there are two cases where institutions have taken the government to court as far as cannabis is concerned. One is the Great Legalization Movement, GLM, and the second one was this lawyer, High Court lawyer from Shimla. His case against the government was that you are collecting all this cannabis, you are eradicating it, but you are at the end of the day burning all that cannabis. So what carbon was sequestered in that plant, you are actually releasing that carbon back into the atmosphere. So he put an environmental angle. He took an environmental
PIL. These are both like PILs.
These are both PILs. I just prefer not using the word against the government because I work with the government a lot. So I just use the word.
But that's a technical word, not PIL. Like
it is, but it scares them a lot. It's usually lot of institutions in India use it as a threatening tool, also as a coercive tool, or to get something. So in Himachal, the High Court said that, listen, you can't be burning this. First of all, you can't even eradicate this. You need to figure out how to monetize this. You are going in that direction. Well, you should be going in that direction. Then we talk about what's happening with GLM. So which means the state government told, the High Court told the state government that now you will have to prepare a policy to regulate the cultivation and make sure farmers don't grow this illegally. You go after the people who grow this illegally. You basically create a smaller bracket of people to go after. Give people an opportunity to come out in the real world and do something. Because आज जो चरस
to apply for a license.
Exactly. आज जो चरस बेच रहा है, उसको एटलीस्ट आप चांस तो दो कि वो असली कंपनी के साथ काम करे और पैसे बनाए. भले वो ₹2 कम कमाएगा, but उसकी लाइफ को रिस्क तो नहीं है ना. So the government got into the practical argument of this. This is when some international experts, we got in some guys who've already done this outside, to kind of explain to them how the system works, what are the specifics we need to look at, and how we cannot make the mistake of copy pasting international regulation in India. Because we need to Indianize these things. Thousands of issues are different. An Indian farmer is not like a Canadian farmer. Like if you're a farmer in Canada, you're probably one of the richest people there. But it's exactly the opposite for us in India. So
What is GLM?
GLM is the Great Legalization Movement. This was started back in the day as an NGO, as an activist-based organization to kind of take the government head on and, how can you criminalize the use of this plant in any form? So they had a larger question around right to life, right to choice, of course, right to medicine and things like that. So they took the government, and in a PIL, the government was delaying, and this was the central government. So the central government actually came out on the 17th of January this year, clearly stating that the medical use of cannabis is not illegal but regulated. The states are empowered to cultivate, process, and manufacture cannabis based products. And it's not banned by any means. But the recreational use of it is not under the same purview as we are looking at. So we also know the courts are never going to legalize the recreational use of this point of view that public opinion has built to that level. But this is a no-brainer for the court, saying that you cannot say everything is wrong, just allow them that way. So the central government was forced to come out with this constructive piece of communication. Now, whilst all of this was happening, we had the Sushant Singh Rajput, Riya Chakravarti controversy happen. We had the Arnett Khan controversy happen. So the government also is in a tough position that, I have taken a hard stance on some of these things as far as its recreational use is concerned. But medical use is a separate basket, and I'm not treating these people in the same way. So that was the thin line that the government was also at that point of time. And what happened with Sushant Singh Rajput's case is that it created the biggest free marketing campaign for cannabis in India. Every knows about what bud is, what hag is, what these new terminologies are, what AIDS is, what CBD is. So in retrospect, more people are actually aware about this drug. The media, I was trying to look for the right word, the media exposure.
No publicity is bad publicity, basically.
Correct. Actually, in that case, the media could have dealt with it more sensitively. But that we actually saw more and more people asking us about our products. That, hey, you have CBD oil. Is it different from, what he was using? At least it created chatter. It created conversation. Now, because we had some reputation, some news houses put us on TV also, like India Today, etc. And go ahead and, give your narrative. You are selling a legal product in this country, you should have a platform to talk about this. Because there were 5 other news channels yelling at the top of their voices around whatever fixated parroting that was expected from them.
Let's just rewind back to 2017. So 2017, you launched that range, right?
Correct. The seed range of products we launched, which is the hemp seed oil, and hemp seed powder. Those are all like nutraceutical products. Like how you have flax seed.
Sorry, tell me about each of these again. Like hemp seed is what? Like it's a digestive, like source of fiber or what?
Yeah. So like how you would eat flax seed, quinoa seed, or even khaskhas, which is opium seed. These are all very nutritious seed. So hemp is also in the same superfood category. It contains omega 369 in an essential ratio. So it's not just about having omegas, but having them in the right ratios. It's one of the few vegetable sources that provides you the ideal ratio beyond what people using fish cod liver oil. It also has 32% protein, the seed, 30% by volumetric weight. So that, and most of this protein is digestible protein. It is not albumin protein. So a lot of the protein that we consume is albumin protein, and it takes much longer to die. That's the problem with whey protein, soy protein, and a lot of those. This is highly digestible as well. The second product is a seed oil, which is basically an extract of the seed itself, a cold pressed extract that could be used in cosmetic use, hair care, skin care. It is very good in reducing skin inflammation and things like that. And this was already established category in the West. And the third is the hemp seed powder, which is like a protein powder. We blend the seed into a powder and create like a vegan protein powder out of it.
So you extract the oil from the seed, and after the oil extraction, that is sold as a powder.
Seed cake. So I have zero waste. I use everything that I put into the system. And
this you launched on the back of that MP deal.
Correct. That MP deal. That license that I bought. तो उसके तुरंत बाद मैंने ये लीफ भाग वाले प्रोडक्ट्स लॉन्च किए.
So what is that called? The leaf range, is it like
It's called the Canna Relief range.
Canna Relief range? These are the Ayurvedic products for which you got those two Ayurvedic doctors to formulate. Okay, so what are these products? Tell me about
Yeah. So the first product is the arthritis pain product. It contains the hemp leaf extract, which is the bhang extract, and the hemp seed that is used as a topical product for local application for arthritis patients. The second one is a muscle.
How does it work? Like,
So the hemp seed oil, as I said, is very good at managing inflammation. The hemp leaf extract has CBD, THC, and a whole bunch of other compounds that are very well known to reduce that inflammation also. And it has already been proven in a lot of trials in the West that these products are actually working. And the proof of the pudding is kind of in repeat customers, right? Like once you start selling a product like this, how many people are coming back? That's when we started understanding that one is repeat customers, but second is to showcase our own clinical evidence of what we are able to carry. Because Ayurveda is also, there's a lot of quackery that goes on in Ayurveda. It is, a lot of those companies have given it a bad name. So that's when we again put on our positioning hat and said, okay, let's take this to India's best Ayurvedic institute. We took it to the National Institute of Ayurveda in Jaipur, where our products, two products have gone through clinical trial and two are undergoing clinical trial.
so to launch Ayurvedic products, what is the process? Say like a typical pharma process, there is animal testing, then human testing, and like there's a whole lot of reports that need to be submitted and data crunching and all that. But what is the process to launch Ayurvedic products? Like this arthritis oil that you launched.
Correct. Very, very good question. So Ayurvedic products actually have a different regulatory pathway because they are predominantly based on the authoritative texts. The authoritative texts include a bunch of books that are defined under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, which is basically the encapsulated knowledge of 5,000 years. There 3 to 4 things are mentioned. The formulation, the ingredients, and the indication. Once you have these 3 things in place, you do not require a clinical trial to be able to sell these products. Now, if I tell you, like Vicks ki goli is also Ayurvedic product.
Eucalyptus oil or something like that.
Exactly. Patanjali's Dant Karti is also, if you read the term, it says proprietary Ayurvedic medicine. That is the terminology we use. Dawar's Chyawanprash is
Yeah, that is absolutely Ayurvedic. Yeah.
That is the point of view, ingredient, formulation, and indication. Is this ingredient in this formulation going to help this indication? So there is a thing called the AFI, the Ayurveda Formulary of India, which contains a detailed explanation of each and every herb that can possibly be used under Ayurveda. Along with the formulary, it is actually coupled with all these other authoritative texts that I was telling you. The Atharva Veda, which actually where cannabis has been mentioned many of the times. So it's all the Vedas and Purans that speak about plant-based, animal-based, and mineral-based medicine. All of that. A majority of these books are in Sanskrit. So that actually requires somebody with a medical background plus a Sanskrit background to interpret that. Once it's interpreted, it's actually then put in a modern format, and then the paperwork goes to the licensing authority. Now the licensing authority can say, भाई तुम्हारा प्रोडक्ट भांग का है तो आप एक सेफ्टी टेस्ट करके आओ, फिर ही हम आपको मैन्युफैक्चरिंग लाइसेंस. लेकिन अगर तुम नीम का तेल बेच रहे हो या फिर कैस्टर ऑयल बेच रहे हो तो कुछ नहीं. इट्स वेरी वेल नोन दिस इज and that is in the GRAS category, which is generally regarded as safe. कि it's we know कि इससे कुछ बुरा नहीं होना, बट ये अलग है, ये नया है, इसमें आप सेफ्टी स्टडी करके लाओ. If he's not happy with the safety study, he'll say do a toxicity study. I want to see at what level is there toxicity in animals. So we have performed animal toxicity studies. Then they study the serious adverse effects in animals. कि भाई अच्छा तुमने small animals में किया है, तो these many rats actually started having diarrhea, or these many rats started having fever. These were the adverse effects. This rat started behaving in a manner in which would cuts towards anxiety. So we think this, so that's how they kind of test the safety. But we thought we don't only want to do that, we want to put it into real humans that are actually suffering from this indication and create a spectacle out of that. Because the proof is in you see somebody's hand riddled with eczema and after 4 weeks a clean hand. That is the proof in a peer-reviewed journal. That's unquestionable science. That's unquestionable science. So we also know that there is a lot of audience which actually wants real proof behind some of these things. And
Like
frankly,
trust building is needed, basically.
especially with this product. I'm not selling you onion oil or any other commodity, right? Like which should be like charity. This requires a trust.
What else was in the leaf range? One you told me was that arthritis, pain relief.
Second one is a muscle relief oil. Now the muscle relief oil also has the hemp leaf extract, but it has a bunch of other oils, essential oils also, which are actually supposed to be very good for your musculoskeletal based issues. So we position that as a workout recovery. So what was spoken in Ayurveda was like, oh, it helps with musculoskeletal bit. But the modern day translation of it is like to sell it as a workout recovery or muscle recovery product. That is the second product. The third product that we have is a stress management product. Now, this is the consumption product. This means, for example, if Akshay is not being able to sleep, is having stressful days, doing a lot of work, he can get in touch with our Ayurvedic doctor, speak to them, and get a prescription for the stress management product. This contains a hemp leaf extract. This contains jatavansi, tagal, and a whole bunch of other anti-stress herbs that could be used to kind of put the patient at ease. This is a lifestyle disease product, as we call it, where people who are going through this, digital saturation, etc.
Like sleep issues. So this would have CBD, THC.
Correct. This has all the compounds. All the compounds that are present naturally in the plant.
Well, just help me understand what is CBD, THC, what is the difference between them, and even what is the difference between cannabis and hemp? Like,
great question. We would have started with this one. CBD and THC are phytochemical entities of the cannabis plant. CBD stands.
Now, what do you mean by phytochemical?
Phytochemical meaning a chemical compound that is found in that plant specifically. So you find caffeine in coffee, right? That's the active substance, as we call the active substance. You have something very similar with haldi. It's called curcumin. So the curcumin level of haldi determines how potent the haldi is. So this is used to determine the activity of the potent substance. So delta-9 THC is tetrahydrocannabinol. That is a psychoactive, or we would call it some version of hallucinating effects under a non-regulated dose. So if you have a very high dose, there is a high chance you can get certain level of hallucination. Now, no one gets hallucinated with cannabis, but that's the word that's usually used in paraphrasing this. And CBD is cannabidiol. It is a non-psychoactive but therapeutic aspect of the cannabis plant. Now, one thing it is important for us to know that in science, there is no good or bad effect. There is an effect. The effect is upon who it is desired for. For example, if there is a cancer patient who's not able to sleep and not able to eat, cannabis is great for them because it reduces hunger, it induces sleep, it will improve their bowel movements, etc. So it improves quality of life. But for somebody who does not have this imbalance, it might be a side effect. So for somebody, it is a desired effect, and for somebody, it is a side effect. Hence, we require the doctor in the middle to figure out for whom is it a desired effect. Is this person in my inclusion criteria qualifying for this product in some way? So CBD is therapeutic, non-psychoactive. THC is therapeutic and psychoactive.
Got it. So CBD is what makes you relax, and THC is what gives you a high, like in layman's language.
It's actually more nuanced than that. All the cannabinoids together give you the overall effect. The overall effect of hunger is for the entourage effect, right? If Akshay walks into a room alone, it's only that much impact. But if Akshay is walking in with 10 of his friends behind him, Donraj has a different effect. So the science also has the thing as a collaborative chemistry, as we call it. The things come together and they work by the principle under which Ayurveda functions.
And what is the difference between cannabis and hemp?
So hemp is actually a generic term used for cannabis that is predominantly fiber based. So the industrial application of cannabis is usually known as hemp. Hemp is a generic term actually also used for things like kenaf, things like jute, any fiber based crop, which is a bast fiber crop, is known as hemp. But it has become general term that, okay, the industrial version of cannabis is called hemp. So it's just a terminology difference. The plant is cannabis. There is only one plant, it's the cannabis plant. Us as humans, we need some way to, differentiate and distinguish. So
Yeah, it's just the branding basically. Like hemp is like safe branding.
exactly.
basically.
हाँ.
Yeah.
मैं सरकार को कैसे समझाऊंगा इसको तो it's
हाँ, ठीक है, got it. ठीक है. So we were talking about the product range. So you said the consumable product. So that has CBD, THC, all of that.
all of that. And then we have a pain management product. Pain management product is for people who are going through chronic diseases, neuropathic diseases, etc., and who are looking at alternative and substitute treatments. That is also a consumption product, and that contains 15 to 20% of the extract. A stress management contains 5 to 10% of the extract. And then we have a higher potency version of the pain management product also, which is actually for people and patients who require a very high dose. They're not going to work with a smaller dose. So that
Like cancer patient.
exactly. AIDS patients, people with wasting syndrome, diabetic neuropathy, stuff where your body is losing its ability very, very quickly. So this actually enables them to stabilize their homeostasis to some level.
What is homeostasis?
It's basically the balance of all your internal organs. So when we talk about organ failure, right? As a person's condition deteriorates, that means their homeostasis is imbalanced, and they are going, one by one, you're going to see essential living organs kind of give up.
So this leaf range, when did you launch this?
This was in 2018, 1 year after 2020. Yeah.
After the seed range.
Yes, that's when I would say Bonico was conceptualized as a business. That's when we had a business plan. That's when we had a go-to-market strategy, a consumer-based supply chain in place, a bunch of investors in the company. So it was all at that point of time, it culminated.
On the supply chain side, so you finally got the license to farm? Like you told me that you were approaching.
No, we are in the final stages. The Rancher on 31st of January actually had passed a cabinet note on this. We are waiting for the gazetted notification. In fact, all of the stuff I'm talking to you is public information. So, people can also look up as they kind of hear the podcast. So 31st of January is when the cabinet came out and said that we have created this policy. Now, of course, gazetting, etc., takes its own time. And then it's a political call on when they release it, because they also have elections up and coming in the state as we speak. So that is not done yet. The whole supply chain is not in place.
That is basically like a license system where government will start giving out licenses to farmers who want to grow hemp crop.
Correct.
Okay. So then you can directly tie up with farmers instead of going through the quota holder.
Absolutely. Then the quota holders can continue doing their business the way they are doing. Their objective is I become the quota holder. Then I start giving to other companies because I am able to control as well. Some of the big boys here in India are also looking at this. Dr. Reddy's has already bought out a German medical cannabis company. Beardo, which was bought out by Marico, has actually launched a whole range of hemp-based cosmetic products for men as well. Then we have Nykaa that has launched a range, an internal range with.
How are these people sourcing? They are again going with the quota.
They are working with us.
Oh, they work.
Yeah. See, the point is, we have the interface to the real business world, right? These guys don't want to work with all these people. They want a manufactured product that is licensed. I am in the business of selling product. I'm not in the business of making things that way, right? They have a clear-cut agenda. So you give me this, I give you this. And so that's a good opportunity for us to kind of bring the big players, really kind of have my mother, your mother, people who would never be thought about using these products, use them. Then as the conversation started, our retail network gradually started growing.
So one quick question on this this B2B business. So in this case, you are taking care of everything, like from sourcing to manufacturing, formulation, regulatory approval, and they are essentially doing the packaging, branding, and sales.
Correct. So what happens is like a lot of these brands would also have their own manufacturers, third party manufacturer, licensed manufacturer. So they would say, I just need this ingredient from you. Can you get this ingredient over? Now, because it's a unique ingredient, because it's got unique position, we also sometimes end up getting real estate on their packaging, which where it says hemp powered by Oiko. It will say hemp powered by Oiko. So there are a whole bunch of products where we don't think we are going to enter. We are not going to enter the pet market, but we work with a company called Wiggles that makes pet products. So those products are hemp powered by Boico. There's another brand called
Like what is the use case in pets for hemp products, like pain relief?
exactly the same thing it's good for humans for arthritis, muscle. The dogs have anxiety, but of course the one thing that changes is dosage.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, because it's relatively smaller animals, so the dosage is that.
So going back to 2018 when you actually became a business, so what kind of revenues did you see in 2018 from these? Like you had essentially the fabric line was still on then, or you had discontinued it?
We had stopped actually by then. We were transitioning out of our direct to consumer fashion business because it's a bloodbath, for the lack of a better term. It was a very expensive way to garner attention. And now we had a much better substitute to actually make money and garner attention. So hence we decided to kind of move out from that business and focus everything on human health and fitness. And in the first year, I think we would have clocked in close to 1.5 CR by just selling these 7 to 8 kind.
First year means what, 17, 18?
That's like 18, 19. I was 18, 19.
18, 19. Okay.
And from there on, I think we've grown more than 250% every year. Even during COVID, touch wood, we could not drastically increase our revenues, but we could actually halve the burn that the company was going through.
Let's go year by year. So 18, 19, you did 1.5 crore. You had the leaf range and the seed range. Right. So 19, 20,
20 we
like,
did
what were the
2.5 to 3 crores in revenue.
and product range businesses, like what was the evolution there?
We were focusing only on getting some of these things out because we didn't want to get into the deep SKU game at that point of time. And also that time we were gearing up for our next fundraise. So we had to keep that in mind also. So not go all guns blazed immediately.
Okay. And what was your distribution channel? Was it like through e-commerce marketplaces or your...
Correct. It was predominantly digital. 90% of our business that time came from digital channels. It was a one-off mom and pop store that called us and said, okay, I want to display a product. We had not gotten into any modern trade or, organized trade that way.
But these pain management products, how are you selling those?
Those we are selling online through prescriptions, and we have a doctor marketing network also. So we have more than 100 doctors all over India that have gone through the process of learning about cannabis as a medicine and are now prescribing these products regularly to their patients. Actually, the doctor is the ultimate.
That is like a direct to consumer, like there's no marketplace, etc., that you're directly.
Yes, that's completely offline. That is the most valuable asset that Boico is building today. Beyond, of course, the brand that is building, but the asset-wise, it is the engagement and the focus of these 100 legitimate who are prescribing and who give repeat business. So that is where you figure out your unit economics, you understand how you can scale your business, be in a safe environment, not have too much liability, and make sure the customer, which is the most important part of this whole chain, is actually benefiting from the process.
So if I as a customer want that pain relief medicine, then what do I have to do? Do I have to fill a form on your website?
Go on boigolife.com. You will have to first fill a form. You will have to schedule a meeting with the doctor. You will have a choice to either schedule the meeting in person, depending upon where you are, or virtually. Because of COVID, 99% of these meetings are virtual. Then you get on a call with the doctor. The doctor already can see whatever history questions that he had asked you. And then he will try to assess the fact that is your prakriti in the right place, which is the overall combination of your vata, kapha, pitta through that. That's what the Ayurvedic doctor usually looks at before they prescribe any sort of medicine. Now, if let's say your pitta is very high, then the doctor might not prescribe you any cannabis medicine. He might only prescribe you some other relative products in Ayurveda. But if he takes like, okay, you fall in the criteria, then he issues the prescription, you get the prescription, you upload it on our website, and we do this random sampling and checking of these prescriptions. Because first I knew all the doctors that were prescribing my products, but today I don't know all the doctors that are prescribing my products. I have new doctors outside the ecosystem who are prescribing it. But again, this is a self-regulated move. We want to regulate this very, very clearly. I don't want this product to be part of an engineering college's youth fest where, kids are abusing this product. Those are legitimate fears with this. So controlling that bit, building a secure channel and a trustworthy channel. Yeah. I think eventually someday we will be known only because we were trusted with this sensitive topic. And that's a larger win, the way we are looking at, progressing towards.
Okay. And so 1920, you said you were also focused on a fundraise. So did you raise funds?
Correct. So that time we got a syndicate of investors. We got funds from the promoter of a listed cannabis company in Canada who had already scaled a company worth $300 million. Luckily, person of Indian origin, second generation Canadian, as Indian as one could be from that perspective, but really got the market. Once he was in, we had the promoters of the VJON group. One of the promoters, VJON is a men's grooming brand.
Yeah, shaving cream.
Correct. Yeah. Predominantly tier 2, tier 3 market, but with future with this. And the third group was the Mohan Meekan group, the guys who make Old Monk and a bunch of
Old Monk.
alcoholic beverages. Yeah, so we realized this industry needs lions. It cannot have deers who will flicker at the sound of anything. But because it's a regulated space and it's a sensitive space. If you ask me, can anything?
How much did you raise from these angels or these investors?
$2.5 million.
Okay. And this was in 2020.
Yeah, 2020, 21. Yeah. This was during the COVID time when everything was documented and formalized and all of that. And so from there to here,
2021, what was that year like?
2021, we were close to 4.5 CR. And this year, we are looking to close at, I think, 7.5, 8. Yeah. Now, there is one big difference between a cannabis company and any other D2C company. I cannot promote my product on Instagram and Facebook the way other companies can because these...
even like a cream, like if you have a hemp body butter cream, you can't promote that.
The moment it has the word hemp, cannabis, CBD, the hemp leaf, pictorially, this, that, you try multiple combinations. They have these social guidelines, right? All these networking platforms. Until the Americans don't federally legalize it, they're not going to take the risk of, promoting this. Now, whether it's for medical use, that cannabis is still cannabis, and they are not going to see what it's being used. So they're okay not having that revenue. So which means we cannot actually buy customers. We have to win customers, which means it's a very different way of doing business in today's world of hyper growth and, burning a shit ton of money. I mean, I would love to do that. I mean, I would love to grow very, very fast. But this kind of puts us down in reality and slaps us in the face saying that this is how real business is built. You have a real problem. Only if you have a real solution will it scale. Otherwise, you can be like 20 other companies that got to a certain revenue mark, and after that, without the marketing dollar, they are not able to sustain the business because the cost opportunity for a customer in India to jump options is so easy. You can jump to many places. So that is the nuanced difference that cannabis companies. That's why there are 20, 30 other companies now. It is not only Bombay Hemp Company. Now it's a serious industry. We are having a Hemp and Cannabis Association of India that is officially going to that. So it's from the boys club, it's become a men's table kind of a thing. It's graduated from the startup mentality to an enterprise mentality while taking some of these regulatory aspects kind of head on from there.
So, how do you acquire customers?
I think the biggest way for us to acquire customers is PR. We do a lot of now paid, owned, and earned media. We have 5 to 6 different channels that we own in terms of whether it's our own Instagram page that we organically grow the following, or whether it's certain level of influencer marketing that we're doing in the digital space. And eventually, it is also about building the ground retail network. So 2018-19, we were present in maybe 3 stores in India. Today, I would say we are present in more than 350 stores in India of all different sizes. Some of them would be like name chains, like Noble Plus Chemists, etc. And some of them are like Nature Soul, which is there in Delhi also. So places like that, you go to any of these organic stores or shops and you ask for a hemp product, 9 out of 10 times it will be ours. So then we also understood that India shops online, but Bharat is still shopping in offline. We're still going out and buying our bread and milk. Like a dad still goes out and buys the bread and milk from his shopkeeper while you and me are using Zepto or Danzo or one of these things. So that was also a big learning because we are born in the tech age. I was born in 1990. So I believe that was probably the only generation that has, in his growing years, not seen the internet, but by the time his brain was developed, had complete access to internet. So we are in a different position of privilege. India is at a different level. So the point is to now get on the ground. And the next 6 months are exciting because we're launching 9 new products in products under menstrual pain, migraine, sexual health.
Tell me about these products. For each of these, like what is the product like?
Correct. So for menstrual pain, we have a combination product because we've realized that modern day menstrual pain is also resulting into PCOS and PCOD, which are much more worse forms of menstrual pain itself.
What are these?
They're basically like an ovarian cyst. An ovarian cyst is being formed because of the menstruation cycle either fluctuating or just some women are biologically more predisposed. Maybe a lot of it is also related to lifestyle. So we have a consumption-based product as well as we have an application-based product for the lower back and the lower abdomen area, where usually the spasms and the cramps happen. The consumption-based product will have a low dose of balm, which actually gives that sensation of relative numbness, whereas the application product gives that immediate kind of relief because it has kapoor, menthol, and a bunch of other herbs as well. Sexual health, in fact, under Ayurveda, 50% of products for balm are under the category of an aphrodisiac. Now, we know why that is. Because it does elate people. It does give them a feeling of bliss and joy and things like that. And also...
So that will be a consumable.
That will be a consumable product again. But we are not selling it.
The menstrual one is also
consumable. So menstrual one also has application. So we have a package. We believe there aren't too many companies that are actually targeting a real solution for that. Women are still using the ibuprofens and the tramadols and whatever the regular, anti-inflammatory drugs are. And in some cases, they're also using like steroidal drugs to get rid of all that pain. So we believe it's an unaddressed market. The products. So the one good thing about cannabis is that somebody who's used a cannabis product 9 out of 10 times is it because he sees the effect of the product in that case. So current repeat purchase rate on our own platforms would be close to 45% repeat purchase. And going ahead, the point after that,
This sexual wellness product, so that will also have like CBD, THC in it.
correct, that will have bhang, that will also have ashwagandha, and it will have ashwagandha.
And do you need a prescription?
For this one, yes, you will need a prescription. So some of these products we're actually launching because we are hearing back from the doctor saying that, I got these are the issues I am facing. Now, once I have good enough number of doctors telling me that, then I'm like, okay, bhai, there is a need for this. So now I also have an input machine that comes to me, right, in terms of what to make. Some of it is reactionary, some of it is proactive. And we have an eczema cream. A cream that is specifically for eczema and skin deformity. That is one of the products. One is for digestive health. That is going to have a bunch of other herbs and other combinations along with bhang in it.
These are all prescription products, like none of them are.
The three to four consumable a prescription. The eczema cream, the application, they are not prescription. They are not prescription. So we have a OTC range, have prescription range at the same time.
So when you say offline is the focus for you, so by offline you mean pharmacy chains, because a lot of these are prescription products. So
Correct.
your offline focus would be pharmacies,
Pharmacy chain.
as opposed to say like beauty stores. Like those would not really be the.
With my other OTC products, I will also go into other health and wellness stores, supplement stores, etc. But on my prescription products, I will stick to the pharmacy chain. And also pharmacy chain network will be built around where the focus of the doctor populace is, right? Because that's where patients are, the doctor is. So currently, I have 4 markets that account for 80% of my business. Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, and Goa. 80% of my orders, business, prescriptions, everything is coming only from these 4 locations. There's a big reason. One is the price point. It is at a certain price point. And that's where my focus is. My focus is to first win India's avocado generation. After that, we will get to the apple cider vinegar generation.
That's a nice term. Huh? You're selling in the avocado belt.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. And what is your contribution by channel? Like how much currently comes from online? How much comes from pharmacy chains? How much comes from general retail?
So as last month was the first month when we did more offline sale than online sale. Before that, it used to be 70 to 75% online, 20-25% offline. But I think this is because a new chain has just been onboarded and they are doing some promotions, in-store promotions and stuff like that. So maybe that's why the spike is there.
And in online, your own website or marketplaces, which is bigger?
Or our own website. Our own website from that 70% would account for like 60% of your overall revenue. So we are revamping our website. We are building a digital clinic. Hopefully that a clinic that you would see in a metaverse or something futuristic, where you can go interact with a doctor and have an experience. Build something different, man. People need stories. So we got to give them stories.
And what are your top selling products?
Number one selling product is arthritis pain. Second is hemp seed oil. And third is stress management. By value, my actual top selling product is pain management, but by volume, it's these 3.
So I guess the path forward for you, I think, where you can have the most bang for the buck would be doctor onboarding, right? Because one doctor you onboard and then there is a whole ripple effect of onboarding one doctor in terms of the patients, the pharmacies near him and the awareness, and like that would be where your focus would be going forward.
Yeah. I just hope not all my competitors are listening to this podcast as we speak. But yeah, I think it's right that the focus is on winning the practitioners, establishing that trust. Because what that does is that it gives the regulator a clear-cut way to look at this. Saying that कि भाई चलो ये जिस तरीके से ये हो रहा है, So even in the future, if they want to expand the scope of something, move with another direction, they can. These things count. This is where history counts for how things happened and what was etched in stone. Hence, the focus will be there. The focus would also be on being a lot more present in different types of places. So we do, like, for example, we do like different types of educational events for corporates. So we were invited at a point of time by McKinsey to speak to a bunch of their consultants on how to think different. That gives us a positioning with a brand like that, and then they put us on their website. So it's to kind of associate with great quality people. You have something that's working, it will scale. But for us, the objective is not to build a unicorn. Our objective is to build a cockroach. We want to be able to see through and survive and be there. There is no point of being a unicorn that is not going to survive. Then it's not a unicorn, it's on a dinosaur in the making. Just because it's big doesn't mean it's going to be there always. So, and I personally, to kind of have my last two bits, I personally believe uh, that the venture capital system is very, very skewed, is actually not valuing value, but is valuing valuation at this stage. And we are just blindly chasing global trends and industries without actually figuring out what our localized solutions are. And I see that as a problem because, frankly, I am losing money on these IPOs that I had invested in, these tech company IPOs, right? Every single day it's a problem, and that's market telling you reality, right? Market never lies, and the Indian stock market will never lie. It will show you what you are worth and what you're doing. So our objective is, like, let's say 5 years from now, if I have three people walk up to me and say, there's this company called Boico, and my uncle who had cancer, he actually was, he had a peaceful end. He felt well. Oh, my dad is now able to walk because she uses this arthritis product. I think that is unmatchable joy. And if we've reached that stage, we might make some money also in the due process.
So you would essentially look at your competitor as someone like, say, a Kapiva rather than someone like a Beardo.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dapper, Zando, their Ayurvedic business, their core business, right? Dabur is a core Ayurvedic company, though it makes money on FMCG today, but its core is there. Those are our competitors. Could also be our collaborators. That's the ecosystem that we are part of. And see, frankly, the cannabis industry is too small to call anyone a competitor. It's everyone is working towards one big goal. Eventually, there'll be a big market, then we'll have market share and everything.
So the kind of doctors you try to onboard are Ayurvedic practitioners, or even like the allopathic, the GPs and all of that?
So I would say 90% of the doctors that currently prescribe our products are Ayurvedic, Siddha, and Unani professionals. They are alternative medicine practicing professionals. Now, I think they might get pissed off if I use the word alternative for them because they believe the modern practitioners in India are the alternative practitioners. 10% of the modern practitioners who do prescribe our products are modern practitioners who've gone and done some continued medical education. They have seen this happen in the US because if, let's say, only a doctor has a doctor's respect, right? If you are my doctor friend sitting in the US and telling me about this, then I'll be like, oh, you know what? I have something like this in my country. I should try it on my patients. Sam is already doing it. Why should I not try it? And then you ask the right questions. So that curiosity is being built. But frankly, I believe where it's going to really scale is with the Ayurvedic doctors who are going to really push it because it falls under that bracket.
Yeah, there it's not a hard sell. Whereas for the allopathic doctors, it will be more of a hard sell. But that is also a bigger unlock, right? Like if you manage to get allopathic doctors on board.
Correct. Now that's where what clinical trials we are doing, they need to be actually published in peer-reviewed journals. Because most of the new age allopathic doctors, all of them in fact, they ask for studies, they ask for reports, they ask everything. Ayurvedic doctors, different world. It's a different world. They operate The science is unique. So you can compare the two worlds, though it could have application in both.
So does your website have like a lot of content and answering questions,
Absolutely.
stuff
The
like that?
hundreds of FAQs, hundreds of reviews of our products. You can go on third party websites and have a look. I would suggest you have a read. Just build your own opinion. I think that's the best thing I can tell you. 'Cause I will definitely give it blow my drunk with. So, take readings, build your own opinion.
So my last thing that I want to understand from you is, how does a company with 6 co-founders work?
Very, very good question. So, frankly, I always thought about this. Now, I'll answer your question with a question, right? There's an Akbar Birbal story, and once Akbar asked Birbal, "I want a green horse." Birbal said, "Okay, let me figure it out." Then Birbal said, he told Akbar that I have a green horse, but you got to find me the 8th day of the week. Then I will find you the green. So the scale of the challenge at which we started, the unknowingness of what we were walking into, the lack of planning,
The naivety.
the naivety with which we got into it, could not have been done without these many people. I don't think so. I could have created this company with one other person, two other people, or just two people starting it. See, because it was not about starting a company, right? It was about starting a conversation. It was about starting a movement in a limited space kind of a thing. And I knew that would need good quality human capital. Good quality human capital either comes with a lot of money, which none of us had to pay, and the other way to get that human capital is through offering them something right from the start. Makes the journey worthwhile. And I'll end it on saying that the last time we had a company that was successful with 6 co-founders, that company's name is Infosys.
But like, how does the work get split between the 6 of you? Like,
Everyone has an executive.
you told me you look after policy and research.
Yes, we have a chief legal officer who is Delzad. So, though I also look at policy and research, but we have a separate lawyer. Delzad is a full-fledged lawyer. He is the chief legal licensing officer of the company. He is the one, along with me, who hustles with the government. Yash is chief marketing officer. He looks at everything that's got to do with sales and communication.
Customer acquisition.
In the company. Chirag is the CEO. He's the head of the ship, which means he is above everybody else in that case. Jahan is chief strategy officer.
How did you decide that Chirag should be CEO? Because you all have equal stake, right? Like,
Every 2 years we have, actually every year technically the board votes on who the CEO should be. If you believe you're good enough, you can nominate yourself, but it's on the basis of votes. And now we don't have only us, we have shareholders, we have other people, we are answerable, which means that it's a democratic process. So the co-founder
it sounds tricky, no? Like for
it is very
voting system
tricky.
to decide who is the CEO. There could be
The
bad feelings. Somebody didn't get votes. And
Correct. The trick is knowing for what decision to build consensus and for what decision to plow through. And you will never keep everyone happy. If you are keeping everyone happy, there is one person unhappy, and that's you. So that is, and I'll also be very frank, right? How many companies even make it to 5 years? How many companies even make it to 9 years? Now, if a company has made it to 9 years with 6 co-founders, one thing at least has to be clear, that this is a mission-driven organization.
If you like the Founder Thesis podcast, then do check out our other shows on subjects like marketing, technology, career advice, books, and drama. Visit thepodium.in, that is thepodium.in for a complete list of all our shows.
before we end the episode, I want to share a bit about my journey as a podcaster. I started podcasting in 2020, and in the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to interview more than 250 founders who are shaping India's future across sectors. If you also want to speak to the best minds in your field and build an enviable network, then you must consider becoming a podcaster. And the first step to becoming a podcaster starts with Zencaster, which takes care of all the nuts and bolts of podcasting. from remote recording to editing to distribution and finally monetization. If you are planning to check out the platform, then please show your support for the Founder Thesis podcast by using this link, zen.ai/founder thesis. That's zen.ai/founder thesis.